Sybil the Witch, Part 2. Please like and subscribe to this channel before our story continues. Just click the red square with the arrow at the lower right of any page. And thank you. We met Sybil the Witch in our first video at Paranormal Parlor. I wonder if Sybil was a long-lost sister of the Sanderson witches from Hocus Pocus. Hard to say. After meeting Sybil the Witch and learning that our friend Steve had moved in with her, we didn't see him for some time. We never learned exactly what happened, but my intuition said she had him under her evil control. One late evening, following a night of improv with my friends, Lynn and I left Dan and Mark's house in my car. I dropped Lynn off at her parents' house, and when she got inside, the phone rang. She answered. Someone was there, but Lynn only heard noises and soft music. Ironically, when I got home about 20 minutes later, I got the call with the same noises and soft music. Didn't know that until Lynn and I compared notes. Well, that was only the beginning of this part of our strange tale. Keep in mind, this was long before cell phones. As days passed, my other friends got the same calls at home after we'd been together. One night, the call happened after Lynn and I arrived at the home of Dan and Mark. Most often, the calls came after I got home. Without GPS and cell phone technology, how could this happen? How could we be tracked? At the risk of being paranoid, I started thinking someone was following me and began to notice other cars on the road around me if they followed for too long. Other times, I'd get spooked if a person at a store was too friendly. It was distressing and frightening. I began to think about the people that lived in our neighborhood. I'd grown up with most of the kids, and none of them were sinister, so who was it? Quickly, I got more intense, and then there was a voice on the phone that mumbled something. Next, I got a weird large envelope in the mail. It looked like a piece of artwork with scrolled calligraphy, conveying an odd message, warning me to stay away from my friends. I walked next door to my friend Nadine's house. Hadn't seen her in months, and when I got inside, she got the call. I freaked. Was I under some kind of surveillance? Was someone on our street watching me come and go along with my friends? That was logical, but how could we all be tracked in that way? We lived miles apart. I was so scared and stayed at Nadine's house for a few hours. We checked the road and nearby driveways for anything suspicious looking or unusual. It was the only call during the daytime. Eventually, I went home. Since I was home alone, I let our German Shepherd into the house for protection. Once we were inside, the phone call came. However, this time, a small child's voice was in the background and said, "Daddy?" I hung up, then sat quietly for a time, hugging my dog close. After that, abruptly, the calls stopped. Sometime later, I saw Steve, and we went to his parents' house after he had moved back in with them. We hadn't discussed his time with Sybil yet. We had a nice lunch, and afterward, Steve looked at me and said, "I love you and want to marry you in the future." He caught me totally off guard, and he kissed me. Soon, we walked down the sidewalk towards his car, where I stumbled, tripped, and fell. He was very concerned and helped me up and back into the house. After he treated my scraped knee, he grabbed the phone to make a call. He was obviously very mad, and I will never forget his angry words and how he said them. In a loud, commanding voice, he said only 3 things. "Don't you dare!" And he slammed the receiver down. He told me he had called Sybil. In a matter of moments, thoughts swirled together in my mind. Was Sybil powerful enough to track my movements and that of my friends? Had she made the creepy phone calls to us all? Did she have Steve's help to track us? Did she hex us? Maybe she even sent the warning note. Was Steve her apprentice as a warlock in training? And did she think I was a threat to their relationship, whatever that was? Did she know he loved me? I couldn't stop trembling. It was too much for a teenager to deal with. Was it dangerous for me to be with Steve? I believe she knew I was with him, and that she somehow tripped me on the sidewalk. When I got home, I decided not to see Steve again. It didn't feel safe to be in his presence. I didn't think he wanted to harm me, however Sybil might, and marriage to him was not in the cards. Many years later, I was happily married with 2 children and living on the other side of the country. One night, Sybil's name somehow came up. My husband had been a deputy sheriff in our former town and had also met Sybil and seen her candle routine. He said the department often got calls about her odd behavior, and she was a well-known lunatic by all in the sheriff's department. He did admit that she also had powers. Hadn't thought of Sybil or Steve in years until that conversation with my husband. I went to the grocery with thoughts of the witch still on my mind until I was in the store. Picked up a few items we needed, and when I returned to my car, there was a red, heart-shaped helium balloon tied to the passenger side mirror. Oh, I looked around the lot and was very uneasy. No, this can't be happening. I pulled the balloon free and let it drift up into the sky. Thoughts of the phone call stalker, Sybil, and Steve bombarded my mind. I will never know for certain who left the balloon. However, strangely enough, Lynn called a short time later to tell me Steve had died. I was surprised, shocked, and sad. He passed away at such a young age. Perhaps the balloon was his final farewell. Thank you for listening to Paranormal Parlor. Please like and subscribe and tap the bell so you won't miss my future stories. I'm looking forward to our next encounter about the first ghost I saw when I was only 3 years old. And yes, other spirits have followed. Hopefully, there won't be a Wicked Witch of the West in my future.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
Till next time, farewell.